Hi, and welcome to another session of Facebook Live with the Kingdom. Today I'm joined by host Adam Steinhardt. Hi.
Hey Alex, how are you, son? Not here on Friday, so Alex doing hopefully a great job of filling in. See how we go though.
I'm sure I'll be fine. So tell me, what are we going to cover today?
Yeah, look, today's topic, we're going to talk about planning versus learning when it comes to marketing. So planning versus learning. So, interesting topic.
Yeah, I thought that planning was learning. You can't do one without the other, surely.
So allow me to explain, Alex. So when you talk about planning versus learning, we're going to talk about it specifically from the point of view of marketing and building websites and spending advertising dollars. But, you know, this really can apply to a lot of things.
Really?
Yeah, and so what we see in marketing is a tried and tested way of planning. So typically a marketing manager will go ahead and create this beautiful spreadsheet matched with a gantt chart. Beautiful waterfall dependencies matched up. If this, we're going to do this for this period of time, and this period of time, and this period of time. So it creates the cascading effect of a waterfall.
Right.
And they'll typically might plan that for 12 months. We see it in social media where people will go ahead and plan 2 months of social media posts. So give me an Excel spreadsheet, plan all the tweets, plan all the posts, and that's pretty much the plan done.
Right.
So that planning process is what we also see when people are building websites. So they'll go ahead and say, right, phase 1 is this, phase 2 is this, phase 3 is this, we're going to do all this, and then on this particular date we'll launch the website.
Right.
So, of course, what happens though is that the minute the actual process starts, the plan goes out the window.
Oh, that's not good.
No. So as a result, what you see is a situation where all those dependencies and all those predefined actions, well, they were all based on assumptions. And if the assumptions are not correct, and it's impossible to get the assumptions correct. So we all know this occurs. And if you've ever written a business plan, for example, you know the minute you actually start operating, the business plan goes out the window because things come at you. You're effectively dodging bullets. If we want to travel to the moon, for example, we don't know exactly what's going to happen along the way. We might get an asteroid shower, or we might have unusual turbulence. We might have a plan, of course, but along the flight, we're going to have to make changes and be ready for the unexpected. So those plans don't cater for the unexpected. So what you have is the alternative, which is learning. Right. Learning what occurs, learning what happens, and using that learning experience to then apply those learned experiences to the next part of the process.
Right. So tell me, what does that typically look like in a business?
Okay, so there's a couple of things. First of all, I think the website's a very good example, and also paying for advertising. So we recently spoke to a client who's considering launching a brand in the next couple of weeks, and they went ahead and spent a whole bunch of money on above-the-line advertising. In this case, it was radio. But of course, they don't even know how their product's going to react in the marketplace.
Right. And
so this is a really, really challenging situation because they book the advertising based on assumptions, and yet they don't know how their product is going to go in the marketplace. So the assumptions they made about the booking are highly likely to be wrong, or at the very least there's going to be some change. Now we've all gone through this process. There's always been some change that's occurred with best laid plans. And so as a result, all this stuff's been booked and a lot of money's been spent, but they don't even know what's going to happen.
Not ideal, I would say.
No, so you've got a situation there where what the alternative would be is to take a small amount of effort, a small amount of money at the original point in time, and then sit back and watch and learn and see what happens, and then from there learn from that experience and then go again. Learn from that experience and go again, and learn from that experience and go again. And once you've finally got your model refined, then you're able to apply substantial funding into it.
Right. So that sounds far more agile than the previous way of doing things. So tell me, is there a particular methodology behind this?
Yeah, so in website design, for example, this is really, really relevant. A lot of you out there in marketing land or business owners, we've gone through the trauma of building a website. Building websites are an absolute nightmare. And the reason why is because you start out with best intentions. You sit down and think of all the things you want to have in your website. Typically, the main stakeholders come late to that process. They're warned early that they should be in the process early, but bosses and managers and boards, and they come in late and they'll make changes. And of course, what happens is the web developers have tried to make the right thing. There's been changes. It's just like changing a house mid-build. Oh yeah, I'd like to have my kitchen over there. Well, it's like, you know what? We kind of just built the kitchen there, so that's going to be expensive. Everything runs late. and we all make assumptions about what's happening with the user's experience.
Right.
Now, to counter this, we do a thing called growth-driven design. So growth-driven design is part of the HubSpot methodology of building inbound-based websites. And growth-driven design is a very interesting way of working. So you can check out growthdrivendesign.com, and at that website you can quickly discover that growth-driven design takes and produces the fastest viable, meaningful product that you can, and then from there you get that published, and then from there you analyze and learn from the results. So you have your website up, use your website to produce, spend 20% of the time to get 80% of the result.
Right.
And once you've done that, then go ahead and get that website up, and then learn from that. Learn from where people are clicking, learn from what's actually working, learn from what's getting the information. And then from there, once you've done that, you're able to go to the next iteration and improve your site.
Right.
And then the next iteration, improve your site. So every time you do that, you're getting one step closer to the perfect model. And at no point in time do you have this huge period of time where you're waiting for something to occur, waiting to analyze the results. Of course, when you build a website via waterfall methods, you might wait 3 to 6 months to actually get a result to look at, and then discover it's busted and broken.
Oh, God, what a nightmare. Unbelievable. So, I understand that obviously so many man hours go into planning. There are people whose jobs are completely devoted to making these Gantt charts. So, how can you instigate this change within your company? What does that look like?
Yeah, well, social media is a classic. Social media is very much a case of the tweets and the Facebook posts and the LinkedIn posts, Google Analytics, Google Plus, everything you put out there, you don't necessarily know what's going to be successful. We see this all the time. With best intentions, we'll produce the social media information with best intentions, but often something strange will go crazy.
Right.
We'll have some tweet that we never expected to suddenly get 30, 40, 50, whatever. And you're learning from those experiences. So having a consultant who's producing a big long spreadsheet of months in advance Twitter and Facebook posts, just chuck it away. It's not relevant. Right. It's got to be done in the moment. And by doing that, you're also capturing the mood of the world.
Right.
Okay, the mood of the world, it's all about what's happening in your city. It's about the weather. It's about the events on around you. It's about making sure that your social media is in tune with what's actually going on around the world. And so combining those two things together, you have your teachings and what you've done before, and you have the atmosphere of what's current, you're likely to get far better success as opposed to this big old spreadsheet, which is really what we're talking about here is a completely different era of management. We're talking about back in the 80s and the 90s where you go ahead and you create your plan, you get your plan approved, you get your budget, and then you perform your plan, and then you match it up to your budget. Now, it probably didn't even work back in those days, to be honest, but it was so much easier when you had way less variables. So back in those days, there's like 8 different advertising methods, TV, radio, billboards, etc. Not much out there, so not much could change. But now, the world is moving so quickly, you simply do not have the ability to predict the future in this world which is going so fast, the digital world moving at such a high speed. So as a result, forget it, just chuck it away, because you know you're going to chuck it away anyway. Learn from the past experience. You know that building that website with a waterfall method was a pain in the backside. You know that you spent thousands of dollars. Everybody now is probably on their 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th website iterations. Bear in mind that 1998, Alex, yesterday I saw an old link to an archive website that we built back in 1998. Quite cool back in the Nextbyte days. But it's been 18 years of websites, so most people are on six iterations of it. So isn't it about time you learn from the past, chuck away the waterfall planning method, and get stuck into a growth-driven design style, agile development process?
I think that sounds like a pretty good plan, and I'm sure that there's many people watching that would completely agree. But how does a business actually kick their teams into gear with growth-driven design? Yeah,
growth-driven design works very closely with Scrum. So we here at the Kingdom use Scrum, agile development processes. So what Scrum does is allow you to quickly create an iteration which is measured and voted on and accepted and approved by the team on a weekly basis. So it means you cut down the development cycle of all these different what would typically be Gantt chart style projects.
Right.
And so one of the fastest ways to get working is to just check out scruminc.com.au. It's kind of the grandfather of Scrum. Jeff Sutherland is there, and he started the process, wrote a book on it. So check that out, and then from there, what you'll discover is that Scrum is very much like growth-driven design in the way they work.
Right.
And so the two of them together, apply those two methodologies, and you get a lighter, faster, more nimble, faster reacting business, which is far better suited to the digital age that we're currently living in.
Wow, thank you so much for your time today. That is definitely something to think about. I mean, it's such a huge realization for businesses to remove themselves from the broken old ways in this fast-paced market that we're currently in. So definitely get onto Scrum, see what you can find, and implement it in your business and reap the profits.
Indeed. So your takeaway points from today, you absolutely want to be careful with your marketing spend. Make sure you actually know what you're doing and have the analytics and have the measurements. And we're not talking about the measurements that come from advertising companies or agencies or people with a vested interest. We're talking about legitimate methodology that works for you. Sales leads is a great start. Okay, web hits here, you can measure that. But you know, this radio station promised an exorbitant amount of hits for this customer. It's like there isn't a way that's going to be possible. And so, you know, you got to be careful of those salespeople trying to sell stuff. So make sure you're checking that. Get your model working first. Test it. Make sure you're being nimble. React and learn from the experiences rather than trying to predict the future, and cut out the assumption marketing because it just doesn't work.
Well, I think that's a great point to end on today. Well, have a great weekend, everybody, and we'll see you again on Monday at 3 o'clock for another session of the Facebook Live with Kingdom.
Thanks, Alex Donovan. I'm Adam Steinhardt. Catch you later.
See ya.